All right, what's going on, everybody? It is Solo Network, and I am coming to you today on how to trade US30 like a pro, how to catch these pips, and how to ride the wave from top to bottom or from bottom to top. All right, so the very first important thing is to identify the trend and identify the market. So before we get into the 15-hour chart, we want to dive deep into the daily time frame and start doing our markups, right? So for those that do know and those that don't know, US30 moves. When it moves, right? And it's not like your ordinary major pair. So like it's not really necessarily like your alt USD or anything like that. Euro USD. Basically with this pair it's different because it's an index pair, right? So as far as pips goes, it's a little different on how they calculate all that, and we can go over that in a different video in a later date. However, I want to talk to you guys on how we're going to do this. So you want to get on your daily time frame, you want to do your markups, right? So basically I already marked up the calendar. If you guys want to kind of just copy this, you sure can, but basically here this is what you guys want to do. So actually let's delete all of this so I can show you from scratch. So first and foremost, we want to find our major key areas, right? Major key areas is where the market had hit multiple times in that specific zone area. So I am looking at the market now, and I'm seeing that market came in this area multiple times, right? We see that market hit this area once, twice, three, almost about four right there, five, and now it broke out of that, and now it's acting as support. So one thing that you guys can look at and do is simply decide if you guys trade breakouts, which I highly recommend. That's definitely something to trade just because it's accurate at this moment, but not really that, but just because it's the right way to trade in my opinion. Is that you basically can see here we have a broken out of this major key area, right? It acted as resistance here, but then back here, over right here, it acted as support. So the nice thing about major key areas is that you can draw a zone from where price had hit multiple times, which we clearly see here. Now I'm also going to draw another one because I also see that price also had hit this area multiple times, right? And not only that, but we are coming to this major key area at this moment. We are currently in a live trades, guys. We're currently trading live sessions right now. So this is what's going on. But if you see here, this acted as resistance, broke out, acted as support, came back down, acted as support again, broke out, and it just tremendously dropped, and it just dropped, and it just dropped. I think this actually happened kind of when this kind of happened when COVID took place in the US. So as you see, this is why the market went dramatically crazy. But now, since we got our markups, I'm gonna go ahead and draw one more. Typically I like to just draw three. Honestly, I can't really give you a set in stone number because it just depends on the market, right? Depends on what pair you're trading. So I'm gonna draw up here because this was that high that we had. So I am going to now go into my 4-hour time frame and kind of just look to see exactly what's going on with the market. I usually draw my major key areas in my 4-hour charts as well, just to kind of get more detailed with things. But currently, just seeing that market is currently in an uptrend right now is not much for me to see. Okay. So what I'm going to do is go on an hourly time frame, and we're going to now figure out what's going on with the market, right? So even though the market is currently live, I want to go back and show you guys how to become a beast and how to trade this like a pro, right? So let's go back to when the market was actually over here. Okay, so we are currently on an hourly time frame. I'm gonna go back to my 4-hour chart, and I am going to do a markup because I'm currently seeing price is hitting an area multiple times, right? So if we go ahead and draw our zone area, you guys shall see that this is definitely a huge support line, right? This is definitely also known as a major key area. So essentially what I'm doing is looking for price to break out of this or basically act against this and go right back up, right? So let's see what happens. So we're going to go ahead and slow down this time, press play, and as you see, bow. Now remind you guys, US30 is a little different than your typical major pairs, because this moves crazy, right? This moves crazy. So I'm going to show you guys how to minimize your losses on this and maximize your wins. So that being said, when you see something like this happen, right, all you're doing is waiting on price to either break out of this major area or act against it, and some indecision comes in, and then you guys would just basically wait on a market to do a small retest, and then you go for that trade of whatever the momentum is. So for example, right now we see that market is acting very well off of this major key area. It has not necessarily created a lower low from this low, right? So we see that the market structure is doing very well here, so we can definitely see now we can get in a trade. So what I am going to do now is go on my hourly time frame, and then I'm also going to draw another key area. I'll usually call this minor key area, but I'm going to draw one here just to kind of get a glimpse of what the market is doing. I don't necessarily do much in an hourly time frame just because there's a lot of details, and you can draw, it's so much you can draw, and it's just going to overly whelm you, and you will probably be at a point where you don't know when to get in and get out of trade, right? All you looking for is basically major key areas from your daily and your 4-hour time frame. Your 1 hour is when you will look for the trade. However, I'm just using this as my support and resistance, and to kind of figure out the momentum of the market in my smaller time frame. So we go into the hourly time frame, we figure out the momentum, we see that it looks like it's creating a higher low. So we see that it retested down here, so it gave me confluences. So far I have one confluence that it gave me a big, two confluences actually. This is a major key area. It came back down and retested the major key area, also known as a double bottom. Not necessarily that, but we have a huge spike on the upside, which this means that this is, if you guys know your candlestick patterns, you will know that I am teaching this in my classes, that if you see three big bullish candles, that's called the three white soldiers, right? So I have an indication that I have the three white soldiers pattern. I see I got a retest down here, and additional to that, now I am not going to get in just because I see this. I'm going to wait on a retest, right? So now what you guys can do is jump in a 15-minute time frame, and this is where you can really get in heavily. All you're doing is just mirroring everything that I'm telling you from the daily to the 4-hour to the hour, right? So now we see on a 1 hour that we had our three white soldiers. We had a retest back down from that previous structure, and additional to that, we also just have so much momentum here. So we go back and we see that we have that retest. The momentum from the three white soldiers is tremendously giving us an indication that this is going to be an uptrend. So now I'm also seeing here, let's go ahead and stop it real fast. Okay, so now I'm also seeing here that we necessarily do have a candlestick pattern, and I am going to pull this up so you guys can see exactly the candlestick patterns that I use, so you guys can use it as well. So the main ones that I necessarily do use is morning star, evening star, hanging man, shooting star, hammer. Not a big fan of the piercing or the dark cloud cover. However, I do look at it in a sense with market structure, but my key, I want you guys to hear this out, my key price action candlestick patterns are engulfing patterns. I absolutely love engulfing patterns, and that is my key, right? However, I also take indications of shooting stars, hammer, hanging man, morning star, and evening star to basically add to my strategy, right? So let's go back to the chart and let's see exactly what's going on. So we kind of can see what's going on here. So I am going to dig into the 15-minute chart, right? So now, if you look in the 15-minute chart, guys, you can necessarily get in right here. However, I do not trade like that. I wait on retest, right? It's the exact same thing, guys. This is the exact same thing you do in a 4-hour daily time frame, 1 hour, right? So I'm waiting on price to retest this area, right? Or for those that's kind of waiting on price to come here, you can absolutely wait on that too. But this is what I'm doing. I'm waiting on price to retest this area, or to retest this, in order to retest in this area. So either here or here. right? So now, guess what? I'm now going into the 5-minute time frame to take my trades. I usually take my trades in a 5 or 15-minute time frame when I'm trading this pair, because this pair moves crazy. So let's see what happens. All right, so we basically already got our retest. I'm just going to keep playing it just because it's going, just to kind of show you guys what can happen. All right, so for those that's more of an aggressive trader, I usually say if you are an aggressive trader, you probably have a bigger account and you have more money to work with, right? So for those that's usually like that, and that's more of an aggressive trader, which I am, I would have honestly gotten right here, and I would have honestly put my stop loss right below where I drew my key area, just because I know that this key area, I don't know necessarily where the price is going to hit. I don't know exactly where that price is going to hit, but I do know it's going to be around this key area. So I'm moving my stop loss below that key area. Now, for those that usually is more not as riskier, you can wait on price to come up here and break out and retest, right? But for me, I'm going to ride this wave all the way to 1 to 3. That's typically how I trade, right? And then we're going to see what happens. Now, honestly, you can keep riding this if you want to the previous high and just keep it there, but I usually just ride it to 1 to 3. That usually just depends on where the market structure is at. But let's go ahead and hit play and let's see what happens. So as you guys just seeing, the market is booming and it's just going up. So let me stop for 1 second. Let me stop. So usually, like what I was telling you, for those that's more of one that's want to play that waiting game, that's absolutely fine. You want to wait on a retest from the previous high. 9 times out of 10, you do get that, and sometimes you don't get that because the US30 just tremendously moves substantially, right? And that's something I teach to my class on how to kind of get in while the trend is moving. So as we see here, it's just booming, it's just booming, it's just booming, it's just booming, guys. And another thing that I teach is also I use my moving averages as moving support and resistance. And as you see, once it hits that red, which is the key that I'm looking for, I'm going to get back in the trade again. So let's just say I want to ride it again, right? Oh, sorry. Hold on. Let me go and do my long position. So let's say I want to ride this trade again. I put my stop loss right from that next previous low, and I ride this all the way down to 1 to 3 if I want to. We can definitely ride that to 1 to 3, and I'm just giving you guys examples on how to be a beast in this, right? And let's see what happens. And look at that, guys. It's just going up, going up, going up, going up, and look, it stopped. It didn't stop me out, but it's just going up, going up, going up, going up, right? And that's basically how I trade, guys. So I just keep getting in trades like that. And also, honestly, guys, if you look at this, I put my stop loss below here. So for those that's more of that trader that sits in the charts and just sit there and look at it, don't do that, guys, because mentally it's going to F you up. I promise you, right? Because this is exactly what's going to happen. You're going to be, let's say you put 5 cents in this, right? Well, let's just give an example. Let's say you put 5 cents or a penny, and you're profit $200 right now, right? And then you come all the way down, and now you're almost back to, you're probably negative because of your spread. But it's just like, damn, now I'm negative. Let me get out this. This is going back. And then as you see, the market just went back up. A lot of traders do that. And that's why you have to always make sure you have your stop loss at the right spot. You have to have your stop loss from that previous low or that previous high. And I would say about 10 pips lower than that, because the market can literally, a lot of people call it stop hunts. I don't really necessarily call it that, because if you know market structure, you'll know how to work your way around that. And that's basically what it is, and that's the truth, guys. So it's important to understand market structure first before you really get into like understanding anything else, right? So once again, guys, if I wanted to take this trade again, I absolutely could have. I could have got in right here if I really wanted to. Put my stop loss from the previous low, which was right here, about 10 pips out, and I would have rode it 1 to 3 again, guys. And it's just, now understand, this is one day, right? So I'm already pretty much 3 winners right now, right? And this is one day. So let's just see what happens. Let's just see what happens. Now, I haven't did this trade here where I got in 3 times, but I'm just giving you guys examples of how powerful it is to understand market structure and just to keep repeating this method over and over again. So let's speed it up a little bit. So as we see, it's consolidating. Usually when it consolidates, you can kind of just break. This is where usually if it consolidates, guys, I would just put my stop loss at break even. So if it was to ever hit that, I haven't lost anything, right? So necessarily it never actually it never broke even at all. So now I'm just waiting on it to see what happens. Let's see. If it does, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. We already won 2 trades, right? So it's consolidating for a minute. There we go. So it broke even, right? Necessarily didn't hit your 1, 2, 3, but you got in right here, and you notice that it's just consolidating. How it's consolidating? Because it never created a higher high, right? It retested here, came back, and also came out, but it never actually retested, and then it never created another higher high. So this is what I'm talking about, guys. You have to understand your market structure, and you have to understand risk management. That's another thing. A lot of people is poor on understanding risk management, or they don't care about it because they want to get rich quick. They want to turn a $100 account into $10K in the first month. They want to flip $50 or $500 into $5,000 in the first 2-3 weeks because they might have seen one person do it or this and that. But you got to understand it's not for everybody. And 2, a lot of those cats that's doing that's been in the game for a minute, or not even that, they really understand risk management. So if you don't understand risk management, and if you were to, let's say, put your stop loss, let's say your stop loss was where it was, you probably would have been stopped out, and you would have actually lost money. Now, the nice thing about risk management is that I'm still in profit because I'm doing 1 to 3 risk ratio. So if I win, look, listen, if I did 1, 2, 3, right? Let's say that I won 3 trades, right? Well, let's say I lost 3 trades, right? But then I only did 1 trade, right? Let's say I lost 3 trades and I got in US30 right here, right? I got all my money back. I lost 3 trades and I only took 1 win trade and got my money back. That's risk management. That's what you guys got to understand. And if you doing 1 to 3 all the time, you're always going to be in profit. In the long term, you will always be in profit because your win ratio is a lot much better than your losses, right? You're doing 1 to 3s, you're doing 1 to 4s, and that's why I say this and I stress this enough that you guys got to understand risk management. Because if you don't, there's no whole point of trading. All right, so make sure you like, comment, subscribe. If you want more content, feel free to comment below, and I will see you guys soon.